Hey guys, it's your old pal John. Welcome to Humor and History, and this is a little different. This is what British people think of America, but this is a guy named Ben Shapiro. He is a, a very conservative person, and he's very, I don't know, he's very, I don't want to say quick-witted. He's very quick with his responses, and he makes very good points. Whether you agree or disagree, that's the difference in the whole thing. So let's get into this one. You might find, if you don't know him, you might find this like really in your face, but that's kind of the way he is.
So let's talk about the differences between Europe and America. So obviously you've been spending years in Britain, and now you're spending an increasing amount of time in America. What's the attraction of America, and what's sort of the outsider's view of America? See, we're so, we hear sort of the fish that are living in the sea and can't see the water at all. But what does America look like from the outside to everybody else?
Well, it's a dangerous question for me to answer, Ben, because I'm always worried about repeating the mistake of Alexander Solzhenitsyn. He came here, very welcomed, people loved him, and then he started criticizing America, and like, people got upset, right? So that's
Yep.
why I came to Britain, where they love being criticized by outsiders, and I talk there. But look, every time I come here, I'm actually humbled by my own ignorance about this country. My number one takeaway every single time I go to different places is this isn't a country. It's a group of countries and people with different religions, different worldviews, and it kind of explains a lot of the political dimensions, I think.
It's absolutely true, and I said this in a number of different videos. It's not like the 50 states. It's more like there are 50 small countries. Not always small, but it is more like that. We just have and unfortunately a strong central government, but our cultural beliefs tend to be localized within like a state or a specific area. And when you look at certain things like, oh, how dumb America is. I mean, you're looking at certain areas. You're looking at like when you think of cowboys and everything. Well, no, you're looking more towards the Texas area. When you look at I don't know, more industrial areas, you're looking at the larger cities. Then there's the Eastern Seaboard. There's the West, where they talk like Valley Girls, as some people have said. It's very diverse. So it's kind of unfair to lump the United States all in as one. But yet you're looking at a whole bunch of diverse areas. So it's something really important that people, I don't think, he makes just the great distinction right there. And that's absolutely it. Let's keep going.
Because you've got people who've got a completely different set of values attempting to coexist in one space.
Yeah.
And it sort of explains, I think, why the debates are raging as hard as they are.
Actually, they used to call the United States the melting pot. People would come in from all other countries, and they would end up learning to speak English, and they would sort of lose after a while, after a few generations, their Italianism or their German background. If they were Irish, we have a lot of Irish, sort of lose that background within a few generations. Now it's a little bit more of a salad bowl, as they call it, and people retain their identities. Although we'll see what happens in the future. It could change, but people assimilate. That's kind of the way it goes. But yeah, you've got people from different backgrounds, and especially in a more digital age, a more modern age. People are trying to keep their backgrounds.
Action of America, it's the ambition, it's the drive, it's the positive optimism, the ability to think into the future and to think, what, I want to build things, I want to do things. That's always been my mindset, and I've never felt anywhere in any part of the world as free as I do here. Because when you say, I want to do this in America, everyone's like, go for it. How can I help? How can I get involved? It's not always the case in other countries.
So
that's an important thing. We do have I know a lot of people in my peer group that I know personally that have started their own businesses, very successful. They work very late, and the thing is that that's now at the detriment of families and things like that. So you're going to see that people in the States don't have large families if they're more successful because they don't have that kind of time. But it comes down to sort of like a mathematical equation. Either I spend more time becoming successful and I work at it for a long period of time without having a family or things like that. But then they also calculate that their social life is also about people who are in the area that they're trying to achieve their goals. So, I mean, I have a business, and I tend to talk with other people in that peer group, or in that group. Just the way it is.
Yeah,
Although I do have a son, but I only have one, so one child, I guess.
I totally agree with you that as America fragments, as it becomes more diverse, not in terms of race, but more in terms of ideology, as that happens, the United States, our future, looks a lot more like the EU, current, meaning like kind of falling apart, than it does like it has historically. Like the idea of a strong, centralized government presiding over a unitary state. It actually looks more, in some ways, like it did at the very beginning, which was a bunch of separate states with very separate state identities. And then you have a few things that you sort of agree on at the top level. But one of the big problems that we have here is that the federal government is now so strong. It's the most strong body in the history of humanity, actually, that when you have the strongest centralized government in the history of humanity, because we are a more powerful government than the government of China. China is much more centralized, but way less powerful in terms of just global power and ability to project and economics. When you have that heavy a government sitting atop a set of stilts, essentially, and that set of stilts is the notion that we all share something, then eventually it feels like it's going to either break the stilts and crush, or you're going to have to unload the top of that pyramid if we're going to mix out all of our metaphors here.
By the way, he is a very loud American.
100%. As I say, traveling around, I've been to East Coast, West Coast. I spent some time in Salt Lake City a few days ago. My sense, I understood much better now, seeing more of America, why the idea that things should be decided at the local level as much as possible is such a powerful idea here in the way that it maybe isn't in other places, because of the genuine diversity of the country. So
that's a good point. There's a and I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this, if you're not from the U.S. It says all politics is local. And it's true. If you really want to get things done with where you are, I mean, nobody really, if you really think about it, I mean, maybe the people who don't have a stake in politics are the ones who consider more about the presidential elections and things like that. But if you really want to make a difference in how you are personally treated, you get involved in your local government, you get involved in your local groups, and you become a member of your localized society and localized identity. And that's where the real difference is made. Like, I'm on the Historical Society, and I enjoy it very much. Then I also have access to other things, because people who are on the Historical Society are also people who are into the local politics, and then you are already friends with them. So you join certain clubs and things like that, and they're not like an exclusive club or anything. You get involved and you meet people, and that's just the way it goes. It's relationships. It's the way things get done.
I get that argument a lot more now, and the more of America I see, the more I'm persuaded by that view.
You're thinking a lot in terms of family, and as you're traveling around the United States, you were saying off the air that religious community has become kind of more interesting to you. So you're personally agnostic, but you've noticed that religious communities are bringing something to the table. So let's talk about your religious worldview. What makes you an agnostic as opposed to...
Okay, that's about it right there. And I don't know, what do you guys think? Again, this is a very conservative talk show, and this is Ben Shapiro. If you don't know him, he's very conservative in his values. I mean, extremely conservative in his values. But his guest is not necessarily wrong. It's one point of view. And let me know what you all think. Thank you. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.